Hello! Thank you so much for joining me for Mari's Golden Hour, and I'm just going to get right down to it. This week has been, I think, a little bit more, I don't want to say action-packed, but just filled with things happening, stuff going on, mundane and not so mundane. And, but, for whatever reason, I had haunted stories in my head. And I don't know if that's because I've had some weird and trippy dreams lately, brought on by one or two events happening this week. And no, these are not drug or alcohol induced. This is just random, I think the subconscious sifting through things seen and witnessed throughout the week, and it's just dumping stuff and allowing my brain to relax, as opposed to my brain and or a body being in fight or flight mode. So, let's see, and I think I may have lightly talked about haunted stuff before. There are things that one thinks they see, and that one being me, and not saying any of it's true, not saying it's not true. Everybody lives through what they live through, so I don't think I've seen anything, but weird stuff has been seen and felt, but I don't claim that, yeah, that's exactly what it was. So the first story that I can recall, or one of the first, it was in college, or around that college time, and I was hanging out with a friend during my freshman year. I think like during a break. It's either like freshman year or sophomore year, one of the two. And if it was sophomore year, I think I was just visiting this person that ended up not completing the rest of their schooling at the college I went to. So, but anyway, where was I? I was visiting them at their family home in Worcester, and we were out just being college kids, and I remember, I don't know if we were taking a shortcut to someplace or cutting through or going to any place in particular, but for whatever reason I found myself on, I don't know how I got there, but I was in some sort of like, best way I can describe it, it's like swampland. And it was like, you know, I was on the off the beaten path, and I was driving a truck at the time, and I remember the truck getting kind of stuck, because I think it was around like springtime, or, you know, it had just rained, and so things were kind of mucky, but, and it was like dark, and nothing was around, and Worcester as a town, it just, I don't know, like, I don't know if it was the area, the town itself, but I was just getting kind of the heebie-jeebies, and then I just saw something up in the distance. It was like, you know, like one of those, like, lanterns, like the old, hurricane lanterns that looked like it was, like, in the distance, but, like, coming closer, and, which, it wasn't so close that I could see, oh yeah, that's a hurricane lamp, but that's the appearance that it gave off as far as the light is concerned back in the distance, and it looked like it was getting closer, and it was just where it was coming from didn't make any sense, because it was just very thickly dense wooded area, and I remember it being like kind of swampy, like there's, like it's very marshy, like over there, so it was just weird, and, you know, my friend was panicking and like, go, and it wasn't like, you know, like we're in this weird redneck part of town, which, I don't know, we probably were, but it wasn't like that panicking fear of like, Klan members are out here, let's go. And my friend that I was with at the time, they're very white, so they didn't have any fear. So I mean, I would, but but anyway, I'm just kind of describing, like, they're panicking, like, oh my gosh, that's good. So, but yeah, like, by the grace of, the God, what have you, I became unstuck and was able to go. But I remember that I just did not want to be there at all. And I don't know what that was about, but that's what happened. So, for all I know, it was a real person that was out there. Maybe they were seeing if we were okay. Or it was, I don't know, a cult that was out in the marsh doing who knows what, using a single hurricane lamp as their light source. I don't know. But, let's see, what's the other haunted happening that I can remember? Also college time, and I remember, this was at the theater department, that I worked in and took classes in at the time. It was basically my second home, or a third home, yeah, because the dorms, that was like the second home. What happened? Oh, so the theater department pretty much has like 2 theater spaces, but there was a huge show that we did that utilized every single space of the theater department. It was 2 levels. Basically, it's like there's the main stage. It's like a main stage black box, basically, where you could just do pretty much anything and everything in that space. You could do any sort of proscenium you can imagine within that space. And then on the second floor is the studio space, which is also black, but I think the studio space, if I remember, I think that's like 50 people, maybe 80. Like, it wasn't like a lot of people. It's very small, very intimate. So on the first floor, it's the lobby, bathrooms, box office would be down there, and the main stage, the green room, the dressing rooms, the scene shop, and I think that's it. I can't remember if there was anything else down there. No, I think that's it. Then the second floor, that had the offices, also, and then another sound booth, the costume area, then the black box. There's like another, like, sort of like not a lobby area per se, but it is like a space where there's the bathrooms on the second floor, but also sort of like I think there's like a couch there. Like, there was room that people could kind of like hang out a little bit in this hallway, and then the classroom. So anyway, this was during a show, and there was a show that was going on the main stage, and I can't remember if I was in the show or if I was running the light board at the time. Oh, and also the light board is on the second floor, although right now I'm having a hard time remembering where the light board was, but I know it was on the second floor. I think that was the light board, or the light booth, I'm sorry, that was sort of like somewhere where like in that area of like where the sound booth and the offices and the costume area was, somewhere about there. What else? Oh, so anyway, sorry, I was just thinking of the layout of the second floor space, for the studio theater, and there was like this back section where it was sort of like a makeshift, like, dressing area, and also like a wing area for like the actors. So it's very cramped, but we were able to make a lot of good use out of it. So anyway, so I remember like going across the stage on the second floor, and I can't remember if I did that because it was the easiest way to get from one side of the stage to the other without being seen by going that long circuitous route, or if I had to go upstairs for something. I just recall it was like during a show, and because it was at night and it was dark, and I remember just feeling like being scooted, like scooting up, like, all right, come on, go, or go, we don't want you here. Not anything bad, but just like scooting me along. So, and it's not that I was lollygagging, but that's kind of like the feeling that I got. Like, all right, move along, go, 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 go. I don't know. But like I said, it wasn't anything bad. I didn't feel threatened. But that's just sort of like the feeling that I got. And the only other thing that I recall hearing, and I don't know, this is probably just those stories that, sort of like playing telephone, where the original story has nothing to do with like what people have heard in modern time, but the folklore goes is that somebody supposedly hung themselves in the downstairs lobby, and it was like around where the bathrooms are and the water fountain. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've never felt weird in the lobby. Although I remember that there was some sort of a portrait of some woman that was hung there. Or not the woman that was hung, but like a picture portrait that was placed above the water fountain in between the bathrooms. Man, I haven't thought about the theater department and the layout in a very, very long time, and it was just such a well-utilized space. And before I went to college at Cleveland State, I wanted to go to NYU, because I had these fantasies and visions of living my life as if I were in Fame. And so, where I could like just dance on the streets and live my life, and just, that was it. And, NYU was going to be the path that I wanted to take, but I was not able to follow that. I wasn't allowed to follow that route. So, I ended up going to Cleveland State, and looking back on it, I was very fortunate to go there and to follow the path that I did when I did, and because there were opportunities that were afforded to me that I wouldn't otherwise have or have had if I went off to New York. At least that's what I suspect. So it was like being the best of both worlds, and it was like having this small pond, and I was able to have that individual attention, but free to go off on my own to like, all right, make your own mark. Was it all roses? No, but is anything ever? Never, hardly ever. Maybe for some people, but that's not my life. Anyway, I guess, you know what, maybe I'll go off on that tangent some other time. Let me get to some things, because I feel like I might be boring you. Alright, any other haunted things? I remember I was stage managing a show in Encino, California, and the facility that we were using, we had rehearsals in one building, and then the tech and the show was in another. And the area that we had tech, there was a very long kitchen area, because it was used to feed a lot of people, or service a lot of people and feed, I guess. It was a relatively, I don't want to say a sizable industrial kitchen, but it was an industrial kitchen, but not like huge, but still sizable. And I remember, I was locking things up after rehearsal one night, and I just got the sense that, you know what, you don't want to look over in that window, because you just might see something you don't want to see this late at night. And I got that feeling, and I don't like to court that bad juju at all, if I don't, especially when it's not necessary. Like, why do that? I don't want to bring that in my life. So I didn't, but I got the sense of that, and I kind of had my suspicions confirmed just by hearing some murmurings of other people throughout my time with this particular cast. So, yeah. Well, speaking of, I guess, things that are kind of scary and haunted, so, a couple things I did this week. I ventured out and did a socially distanced thing, and I attended a FYC event at the Rose Bowl. They were doing the drive-in thing that I know a lot of acts, individual acts, group acts have been doing once things were sort of, I don't want to say opening up, but it was a way for people to be out and socially distance and still do something that was of entertainment and value during the lockup. And but this week was my first time actually doing something social that had nothing to do. I mean, I've been around people because I've been forced to be around people since lockdown. So I, didn't have that luxury. Maybe that first week or two, but I don't know. After that, it's like, all right, you need to work because this can't keep going on. So, well, not just that, but it's like, didn't want to be evicted. So, I don't have a trust fund, or the hugely lucrative job where I can just kick back and, I have like a bunch of zeros attached to a savings account or stocks and bonds, but, one of these days, yes, I will. But anyway, that being said, I have been around people. I've been practicing safe measures. I've been on sets, in front and behind the camera, throughout the lockdown. So, and I've been tested and, been coming up negative, for any test that I've been given. So, but, anyway, babbling on to say that I have been around people, but it has not been for pleasure per se. It's all been work related. With the exception of just two people. One was, just two friends. It was a walk and talk, and the other one was a project that a friend was working on, and I wanted to oblige and help out. What was I talking about? I was talking about something. Oh, yeah. So FYC means for your consideration, and these are events that whoever's nominated will, it's a way to, woo the voting members into, hey, vote for us so we can get that Emmy or the Oscar or, whatever the award at the time is. And so I didn't realize that there were any awards that were going on, so I don't know what this for your consideration is. My assumption is it would be Emmys, but I thought the Emmys were usually like later on in the summer or early fall. What do I know? Anyway, but that's what this was. And so I attended the first one was for Lovecraft, and they showed the first season, or sorry, not the first season, but the first episode, and they had a panel following it, which usually for these events, that's what typically happens. They're, somebody from the cast or the director, producer, writer, somebody from that staff will be there to either open it up with some interesting talk, or either to present it, or to do a Q&A panel following, and then the guests in attendance and the voting members are then welcome to the open bar, open buffet, and there's usually some sort of swag. Not always, but sometimes there is. And what else? So this one, food was great. I wish I brought Tupperware because I was just like stuffing myself. I purposefully didn't eat anything, but it was a lot, and it was really good food. And I did a lot of damage to it. But anyway, so the Q&A panel that they had, for me, it was great. I was fortunately able to see the whole season because I saw the free episodes that they showed. I think it was for the first episode or the first two episodes. No, I think it was just the first episode that they showed for free on YouTube to kind of get interest in HBO Max and to get people to switch over and subscribe. So I saw that, and then I was able to check out the rest of the seasons or the rest of the episodes. So for me, I geeked out on like looking at any extra footage or any extra insight into the episodes. I know that they have a podcast, which I believe the podcast, you can check that out on YouTube and through HBO Max. And the podcast is recapping the episodes that preceded it. So I haven't checked that out yet, but I plan to geek out on that at some point. There's just a long list of things that I have to get to. And I don't know about you, but even with my YouTube watching, I have so many things to watch in the save for later pile that it's ridiculous, and I need to start whittling that down. So hence the other reason why I don't have cable or don't watch TV. What else? So that was fun and very cool. And then the other one I saw was a Black Lady sketch show. That was also at the Rose Bowl for the drive-in experience. And they showed the first episode for season 2. And again, I already had watched that particular episode in its entirety. And so, but it was still enjoyable to watch. I thought that they would show 2 episodes, seeing as how like the episode itself it's not like a full hour, but they didn't, so, which was fine by me, because it kind of made it for like an earlier night, and I've been burning the candle at both ends for a while anyway, so the earlier I could get home, the better, which, I'm not too sure if I was able to get to bed early that night, but whatever. Anyway, let me go back. So the panel for Lovecraft, my only annoyance for that is that the person who invited me had not watched any of the episodes, but they saw the very first episode, which to me, even though I've already seen it, and that would have been my 3rd time watching that first episode. Wait, 3rd time? No, my 2nd time watching that first episode. It was very cool to see it up on like a bigger screen. So that was fun. And, but my friend had not watched it, and they were like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I'm like, yeah, you're really gonna enjoy it, and the rest of the episodes are very fun. And, so my annoyance with that panel is that the moderator was asking questions for later episodes, or of later episodes, and which in turn had the cast, not all of the cast, but some of the cast, answering questions or bringing up things that happened for the very last episode, or ruining little plot points that happened in between the season. And to me, it's like, well, there might be some people who have not watched the whole entire season yet. So I didn't like that aspect for my friend, and I'm like, try not to listen to this. So, because I didn't want that experience ruined for her. I hate it when it's ruined for me, so I assume that other people feel the same way, which I know other people don't, but I still respect that. But anyway, Black Lady Sketch Show, when they did their panel, the Q&A panel after the episode, they were very conscious of not ruining jokes for people or ruining a storyline for different characters. Even though they wanted to bring up something because it pertained maybe to a question that the moderator was asking, who happened to be Amber. She was in Glee, and I can't remember her last name right now, but her real name is Amber, and she was in Glee. And she plays a part in a Black Lady Sketch Show, which actually, I don't know if I think she might be in more than one episode, but I did see one episode that featured her so far this 2nd season. What else? So yeah, they didn't give anything away. Thought it was cool, and they, so after it was over with, I tend not to look at my phone unless I have to, especially if I'm watching something like a movie or a TV show, especially if I'm out and I'm in public with other people. And so, the event was over with, and we were heading out, and so I'm looking at my phone, and then I see that I had gotten a text during the show, during the drive-in experience, and it was a friend that I hadn't talked to in a while, and they're like, hey, it's me, by the way. And I'm glad they told me, because I didn't have their number. Their number was in an old phone, but my old phone has since, like, it went kaput, and I lost everything. And so, thankfully, they sent a text and let me know who they were. So, they said, you aren't by chance at a Black Lady sketch show at the Rose Bowl, are you? Because I see somebody that looks an awful lot like you. And, so it turns out that person, they were in the car, like, staggered next to us. And you may say, well, why didn't they say anything? And maybe they only caught glimpses of me, and I had my back to them, or they just saw the side of my face. That particular night, I was quite covered, so maybe they just couldn't tell, and they didn't want to embarrass themselves. No idea. But I would have embarrassed myself, or at least, like, walked in front of the vehicle, and then, like, kind of, like, casually looked. I'm like, hey! So, but that's just me. But anyway, I had since reconnected via text with them, and they had mentioned that Black Lady sketch show is not necessarily their favorite show, or they don't think it's terribly good. And I'm like, ooh. And this is from a black female that is saying this. Not saying that all black people should like shows or material that is created by black people, because not all people like all things, that I get. But her criticism, just in general, it was like, ooh, that's kind of harsh. Did you see the first season? Which I can't remember if I asked if they saw the first season or not, or if they were basing their feeling off of just the second season. Which, like, if I remember the text, it was like their feeling was that it's not that funny, which I get where they're coming from with it, but there are a lot of funny moments within the episodes I've seen so far of season 2. Comparing season 2 so far to season 1 has a lot of hits. Like, they packed a lot of smart writing in a very short amount of time. They just gave it at you. It feels like this season they're allowing the text to breathe. It's the best way I can describe it. Anyway, I'm moving off of that. What else have I been checking out? Legendary season 2. Watching that. Love it, love it, love it. I am all for the ballroom scene. And, yeah, it's just, I've never had a chance to attend one. But it was one of those things that was so very New York, and it was just part of what I felt would have been my New York experience had I gone. Because again, I had all these grand ideas about like the life I would lead and live being in New York. So, and who knows what would have happened had I been able to go there for college. I don't know. What else did I come across? There was this song I heard during the week. I think the title of the song is called Timothy, but I can't remember who wrote it. But it's like a 60s song. It's a song that came out in the 60s, has a 60s sort of vibe, and the subject matter is about cannibalism, which I didn't know that listening to the lyrics, because I think I caught the song maybe halfway through, and even then first time out the gate, I'm always just listening to the melody and the beat, and then the lyrics come last. So, but the DJ who was talking about the song said that, yep, it's about cannibalism, and it happened to the character in the song, whose name is Timothy. And I was just thinking that that's kind of messed up, much like those Steely Dan songs or the Donald Fagen songs about pretty much like having incestuous thoughts about their cousin, or getting it on with like an underage female. Like I can't, like, how many of those songs are like all Donald Fagen and Steely Dan songs? Just, it's a lot, and you don't realize that because it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of a cool tune because it sounds great. But anyway, my phone, I need to like do some clearing out because I ended up losing a lot of info because it started acting up on me and getting all weird and funky, and I just somehow lost like a lot of notes that I had and a lot of song information that I wanted to share, but it just pages of stuff, lots of pages of things that, even for my own self, like just little like, oh, that'd be cool to know, or just lost all that. So I guess I don't need to know it. And let's see, what else? I am today, officially, it is Sunday, what is it, May 23rd, that I am recording this. I meant to do it yesterday, but yesterday got away from me, so I'm doing it today. I am getting back on that kick fit and just getting back on that wagon, and it's one step at a time. And I considered going hardcore at the beginning of the month, but this is my birthday month, and I couldn't resist and the freebies that come along with that. And I wasn't able to do or participate in any of the freebies last year because of lockdown and whatnot. So I'm doing them this year and taking advantage of it. And it's a lot of foodie stuff. It's a lot of lotions and potions and just all kinds of fun things. And so I'm doing it. Like I said, I started May 1st, but things didn't work out that way. So working on doing that, seeking the balance of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And I'm getting there, and I don't want to say I'm almost there because, the self, I feel, is always going to be a work in progress. But I already knocked out reading the bunches of books that I had and still have some more. And just feeding my brain and feeding the spirit and feeding the body well. So yeah, I'm just kind of feeling that. And so let's see, what else? Reading, music. Oh, music. So here, I'm just gonna finish up the songs that that just stuck out to me. And now these are songs that were in April that stood out. So the past few podcasts, I've just been doing them a chunk at a time, and so this is the last chunk for April. So I'm going to try to blow through this as fast as I can. So if you feel like ending things here, that's totally fine. I get it. Thank you for hanging out with me so far. But here we go with music. So I'm going to quickly just try to knock this out, and it won't take too much longer. So just give me a few more minutes of your time. There are some interesting gems that are in here. So and again, some are new, some are old, some are recent months, some are just like, I just like them just because I like them. But alright, here we go. My Baby Just Cares for Me by Nina Simone. And this particular Nina Simone song, it actually sounds like a couple of other old hits, and it reminds me of Nat King Cole, Louis Prima, and I think even Louis Armstrong, this particular song. Once you hear it, you'll hear what I'm talking about. Somehow by Phony People. I think Phony People, it's a new group, I think. I should have looked this up before I even mentioned it, but anyway, I'm just going to keep on going. Symphony Number 1, Afro-American 2 Adagio, and this is by played by the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. And it has a very Porgy and Bess kind of a vibe about it. That description will be apt should you hear it. The Pink Panther theme, Henry Mancini and his orchestra. This one, I hadn't heard the Pink Panther theme in a long, long time. And I kind of remember, like, as a kid, seeing the Peter Sellers Pink Panther movies, which is where I remember hearing it from. And the old, like, knock-knock joke. Well, it's not a knock-knock joke, but it's like, what did the blah-blah-blah say the blah-blah-blah? And you'll know the punchline by the theme song. So, but this, I also have had a memory of being in high school. I was in a high school concert band, and one of the assignments for seniors during the senior year with this particular music director that we had that year, he's a guy that I just butted heads with him, and he just didn't like me for some reason. I think because other people did, so he always tried to knock me down, or maybe he was racist, who knows. But he just had it out for me. But he wasn't the only teacher that I guess didn't like me for one reason or another, and I even had a principal that didn't like me. It was actually very racist, but that's a story for a whole nother time. Let's see. So that particular song, I chose it as the song that I was going to conduct in concert band, because the seniors, he had the seniors conduct a piece to be played for one of our concert band performances. And so the Pink Panther theme by Henry Mancini was mine, just because I liked the jazzy swing of it. But, you know, that's me. That was more my vibe. And, you know, I was in jazz band. I mean, well, I did it all, actually. Come to think of it. Alright, let's keep moving on. Everybody Wants Some, Van Halen. This one, it's just, I don't know, it's a cool Van Halen song. Do I like all the Van Halen songs? No, not necessarily, but this one I like. I think it's like the early Van Halen stuff. I like it. I played, this is a very random story. Sorry to sidetrack. I'm digressing, I know. So I think this is when I was on the road and I either had a break or I was working with an opera company. And yeah, that's what it was. I was working with an opera company, and the show was over with, and then I had either the show was up and running and I had a day off, or the show had just finished and I had a little bit of time before I had to go to the next city. So I remember hanging out with a friend that lived in that city, and they had tenants that lived above them, and the tenant was in a band, and so we were hanging out up there, and their drummer couldn't make it. I don't know if they were sick or they had another show or another job, but they couldn't make it for band practice that night. So they're like, "Do you play the drums?" And I'm like, not really. I mean, I can kind of bang around a little bit. So they're like, "All right, you play drums." So it was that song, that Van Halen song, "Talk About Love." I played the drums for that. I don't know how it happened, but you know how you just kind of get in a zone and something just kind of takes over? At least that's, for me, sometimes with music, when I'm playing and when I'm listening to it, that's what happens. Something kind of takes over. Actually, it's with music and with dance. You just kind of get into this zone. Somehow I was able to play this particular Van Halen song, never having played the drums, at least not seriously. You know, I was screwing around in marching band, and you know, you mess around with the dudes, the hi-hats and all that, and the toms, but as far as a big old drum set, I've never really done anything, but it was a lot of fun, and I could see why people play drums after that. I loved it, and that experience has not happened like that or anything like that since, and it was a lot of fun. Moving along, Hypotheticals by Lake Street Dive. I believe I've mentioned that song before, but it came back on my radar again. It's just a fun song. Walking in the Snow, Run the Jewels. RTJ, they are just always awesome. I mean, it's bars, it's beats, message. This song has it, much like all of their songs. It hits hard, and I love it. This Land, Gary Clark Jr. Gary Clark Jr. is very talented, and when you hear the song, it's moving, it's fitting, it's poignant, it may be hard to listen to, but yeah, Gary Clark Jr., This Land. What a Fool Believes, Doobie Brothers. It's a cool song, always. And for me, Doobie Brothers, I am always going to be reminded of my time spent in New Orleans. And I believe I've already mentioned this story before about going to New Orleans and going there for the Heritage Festival, which is also known as Jazz Fest. And it's just a lot of fun. And Doobie Brothers was on the main stage for, I think that was the last Sunday that they were performing. Heritage Festival is 2 weekends, and I was there on the second weekend. And it was huge. Everybody was like just vibing, just on that same vibe and just feeling it. And there was a lot of love in the air. And Michael McDonald was there, and it was just a lot of fun. Let's see, Blood Buzz, Ohio, the National. I believe the core members of the group are from Cincinnati, so, but they're based in New York right now. And, yeah, Blood Buzz, Ohio, because Ohio. Help Me Through the Summer, Neil Smith. This song sounds very 80s. Naked Eye, Luscious Jackson. I love this song. It's such, like, for me, it's like, this speaks to a time, and it's a really fun time, and for me, this speaks of, road trips, and just, recalling road trips, and working concerts, in big arenas, and small venues, and it's my time doing those gigs, and, never really attending concerts much because I was always working them, and it's just a very fun vibe. And I believe they were on the Beastie Boys record label, the Royale, something Royale, and basically with good reason, because Kate Schellenbach played drums in, I think it was like the original Beastie Boys conception when they were more punk. But I remember having that Luscious Jackson Fever In and Fever Out. I believe I was able to snag a cassette of it, and that was just listened to like a lot on different road trips, so it was a lot of fun. What is Hip? Tower of Power. They're always good and funky. Mr. Magic by Grover Washington Jr. The bass line, the groove is very, very familiar. Once you hear it, you'll know it. It's that boo-doop, doo-doop, 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 boo, boo-doop, 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 ba-dum, bow-gow-gow, yeah, So, that one. Firewoman by The Cult. Just yummy. Ian Astbury with that voice, and then Billy Duffy, the guitarist. It's just any song of The Cult. I know, like, a lot of them, they all sound very similar, but I get into all of them just the same. So, Don't Waste My Time by Usher. It's Usher and LMA, which LMA, she has a lot of good groovy, like, very, like, sexy, sensual songs, and just very groovy. And, but this song is very melodic, and just, like, it's, like, just, yummy, and R&B, and I am here for it, and feeling it, yes. And Grace, ending that, my April of, like, music that stuck out to me, Jeff Buckley. It's very melodic, and it's driving in this almost sort of semi-haunting way, and it kind of reminds me of, is it Breaking the Girl? Red Hot Chili Peppers, that dun jacka dun dun jacka dun dun jacka dun bow bow bow, feeling so sad, but yeah, Breaking the Girl. It kind of has that drive to it. And I don't know, I think Jeff Buckley, that particular song, Grace, came before Red Hot Chili Peppers, or maybe it was around that time. Now I can't remember. I don't know. I have to look that up. But, yeah, so that wraps up my April music. There were some others that popped up here and there, but I think some of those were on my phone, and it was part of that information that just, like, got wiped out. Which I'm sad about that, because there were some really good ones in there. I remember there was something in the subway, Love in the Underground. Yeah, Love in the Underground. I can't remember the name of the group, but it's very pretty. It's a very pretty song to listen to. Love in the Underground. and I think, like, I wasn't able to look it up with one particular music source, but I think I went to YouTube and looked like they had a video, and it looked like they were in a subway, like, busking. Which actually, if I remember when I heard the song and the DJ was giving like their like liner notes about it, I think that DJ said that this particular group started off busking and then just like, kept at it and rose to, wherever they are now. But I don't remember the name of the group, but I'm sure if you just put Love in the Underground, I know it's a female, I think, singing it, or it's a duet, but I think the female is the one that's like pretty focused on. So that pretty much, that ends that as far as like my music and such. And with that, so next weekend, or really it's my birthday week starting this week. Next Sunday will be my birthday, so yeah, I probably will wait until then to make another recording. Like, let's just do it on my birthday. I don't have any plans. I'm keeping it loose, keeping it safe, no matter what happens. But yeah, I think at this point, right now, I'll probably just spend my Sunday much like I am doing today, which is like just being productive, getting stuff done. I did some yoga, did some stretching, did a workout. I made myself a late brunch, made waffles. I thought about having some sparkling rosé, but I want to keep moving, keep my momentum going, and get stuff knocked out. So, I don't know. I might say the more drinkies, and the libations, if you will, for next Sunday. So, we'll see. But anyway, with that, thank you so much for hanging out and for listening to me go on and on and on and on. And so I wish for you a very happy and productive and drama-free and stress-free week ahead. And I wish that for everybody. It makes no sense, and it's such a waste of energy to just dwell on negative stuff. So, and I know it's easier said than done. I know it is, and I've been there before. Believe you me. I think I'm still kind of suffering and paying for the consequences of dwelling in negativity for too long, far too long, and left to one's own devices. So I get it. Believe you me. And with that, thank you very, very much. Feel free to check out my YouTube page, Mari's Golden Hour. I do put up clips. I have been bad about putting up the clips, and as well as podcasting, really, in April, just because I was going through a very sort of a down blah period. But I'm changing that this month with May. So I've put up some clips. I try to intersperse the podcast with the video clips, so at least there's stuff going on and something interesting just to look at and check out. That won't take up too much time. So unlike my rambling with this podcast, but hey, you're here hanging out, so you must not mind it all that much. All right, and with that, take care. Bye.